This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for Avoid the Maze. And today I have Sandy Joy Weston with me, and I have to thank Podmatch because I have found some wonderful people through podmatch.com. I feel like I have a whole new family out there, and I learn so much about just enjoying the day when we have these conversations. So, Sandy, welcome to New Cleveland Radio and Avoid the Maze. Maybe you can tell us, how can we avoid recreating the wheel to find ourselves and feel good about a gloomy, cloudy fall day?
That's $1 million question, isn't it? Actually, it's not that difficult. You know how they say, okay, it's not that difficult, but to put into action, well, that's a whole nother thing, because most people think it has to be complicated. It has to take forever. You have to go uphill both ways. Well, guess what? I spent my whole life simplifying my mission, which is to spread joy. So here's the thing I'm going to give you right up front. The best thing you can do for yourself before your feet hit the floor, before your feetsies start your day, is say these words: how do I want to show up in the world? How do I choose to show up in the world? It's not time consuming. People say, Sandy, you don't get it. I got kids screaming, I got to get work. Okay, 30 seconds. Just take a moment, pause. How do I want to show up for the day? Then just take a deep breath in and think about it. Now, it might be one of those days, I call them a lot of sticky wickens, so you can't get powerful and strength, but maybe you say peaceful, calm, ease and flow. And other days, it might be, I'm going to show up with pure joy or freedom. And just that one word, as you go along your day, you keep thinking about, is this how I want to show up, or is the world knocking me around? Big secret, it works so well if you just do that every single day.
And I agree with you. You know, I lived probably the first 60 years of my life trying just to please everybody. So I didn't wake up in the morning saying, how can I live my best day? How can I feel good today? It was, how can I please everybody else? And so when my feet hit the floor, I was constantly in perpetual motion. And I hit a low point in my life, and I woke up one morning and I said, I don't want to please anybody, but I want to please me. I don't know how to do it. And you're right. You know, in the beginning, I tried recreating everything.
Yeah.
And that was exhausting.
You can't do that. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one morning after that, I woke up and it was like, I don't want to feel bad today. I didn't know exactly what that meant.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
But I searched for it in that day. And then I found little things that made me feel good. And that's what I do today. So even though I was complaining about the weather, that's just something I tend to do. But the reality of it is, I know there is sun behind those clouds, and that's what I can still see.
Well, I'm so glad you shared that with us, because a lot of people will say, well, it's easier once you get older. And that is true. You know, wisdom comes with age, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think a lot of the younger generation are coming in going, no mas, what are you doing all that for? And my son, who's 18, he teaches me, like, he'll remind me every day, Mom, what are you doing that for? Why are you doing that? Do you really want to do that? Or my tendency, which a lot of us are, people pleaser, you know, and it's a habit we fall back into.
Right.
And many of us do, especially if you have big hearts. But even that reminder for him, just pausing a second and going, whoa, you're right. I don't want to do that. I'm going to just call and say no. That's what I'm going to do. So I started this campaign last year where I told everybody, you got to just say no. And I have stickers all over my house and even at my door. So when I walk out my door, I go, Sandy, you can say no. And it's just a quick reminder to me, you know, like I don't have to say yes to everything. But also, circling back what you said at the beginning about how you said, I love that. I didn't know how I wanted to feel, but I know I didn't want to feel this way. That's huge. Yeah, you have to know where you're starting. And for me, I always call myself the level A person, because there's so many amazing systems out there, right? There's so many. I
Sure.
mean, wow, the world is filled with them. I am simplifying everything out there to make it only take a few minutes a day to get your head in that right space. And then you go about. You might do something longer or not. You might take on another system, another meditation, a longer workout, but it's coming from your mind, your body, your soul, once you're in that headspace. And that headspace doesn't take long to get to. It really doesn't.
Well, you know, I remember my father when I was very young. He'd get up in the morning, and we all knew that he had to be the first one in the bathroom. You know, there were 5 of us in the house. We had 1.5 baths growing up, but you'd hear him bellow in the morning, "Hello, handsome." And we all used to laugh. It would be like, "Dad, why are you doing that?" And he said, "If I can't see the beauty in me, nobody else will see it." And, you know, I learned from him. It took me a long time, obviously, but I learned from
Okay.
him to say, "Hey, the beauty is inside. And if I don't let it out, then how can I enjoy anything else around me?"
You go, Dad. I mean, unbelievable that he was saying that back then, because
Yeah.
we've come a long way.
Yeah.
But what a great message. And you're right. You could hear messages over and over again. And especially when they're family members, sometimes you tune them out until you get older. And it does not have to be at a certain age when all of a sudden you get that message. Some people say, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get that when I was 20, 30. You weren't supposed to. I always tell people, you don't get it done and you don't get it wrong. And you only know what you know at the time. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. People beat themselves up so many times, especially people that are self-help people who want, to improve themselves, and they realize it starts with themselves. They feel so guilty, guilt upon guilt, because they didn't do that. And I always say, okay, first thing, guilt is not going to serve you well. So let's
Right.
just, forget it. You only knew what you knew then, and you only had the tools to do what you did now. So now you're here. And now what?
So how do people know that you're even out there to help them get through these steps? Because, when I think of getting help, okay, that I feel like I'm bogged down, I think, well, yeah, I have to go to a therapist. And actually, it's not always that we need to go to a therapist. There are right times and wrong times.
Correct.
But if I just want to make some simple changes, but I'm not even sure what those changes are you the type of person that I would contact and say, "Hey, Sandy, I'm feeling, I have this weight around me, but I don't know what it is. How do I let go?"
Wow, that's a big question. And you're right. There is a time and place for everyone, and there's times an amazing therapist and psychiatrist out there. What I do is I spread my joy in several different ways. I host podcasts also to get my message out there. I have different books that I've written, 30-Day Reset, Train Your Head, Body Will Follow. And I also do coaching, individual and group coaching, like 6 week and 12 weeks to get them back in gear. I first talk to them to see if they're really ready for me, and if we're a match, because that's the big thing. I don't think I've ever had anyone at the end, I'm not just saying that did at the end of the time with me feel like they reached their goal, or what I call their game plan, because I tailor it to where I'm meeting them, and they were already ready. And most people, once they start talking, if you're a great listener, you can pull out the answers from them. and that's what you want to do. And that's what I do. So I try to meet people where they are. And then everybody's program is different. So many times people call me and say, Sandy, just want to tell you, I know you believe the body and the mind, it's all one. You can't do one without the other, but I just want to work my body. I go, okay. Can you just work with me for 30 days, 6 days? And, most of it's done now virtual. I go,
Right.
okay, we'll start with that. And I just listen. I take notes where they want to go. And then I start asking them to get some more details. Why is it you want that? Just simple questions. Why do you think you haven't achieved it so far? How do you think you'll feel once you get it? Because everything you want is because you think you're going to feel better when you get it.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they're like, okay, let's do the whole program. And I said, okay, I thought you'd got to go that because you can't do one without the other.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't believe, and it's not about digging up the past unless it really is relevant. It's for me to understand. Karen, here it is. The stories you tell yourself, voila, there's life. The stories that spin around your head, there's your life. Those are the thoughts you're having, right? The stories you tell, the thoughts you're having. People say, I believe this my whole life. Well, what's a belief? A belief is a thought you think over and over and over again, and then it becomes strong. Does it make it right? No. Does it make it wrong? No. Does it make it good, bad? So I start with what I want you to do, spend a week, I call it scribble scrabble, and let's get all those different thoughts out. And we pick an area. So if you're going to pick your body, we start with your body. You might pick your career, relationships, but you can only pick one area. And people say, no, my whole life is blah. Yeah. And I say, okay, well, forget that. Because in order for you to achieve your goal and see success, you need to focus laser on one area. And I promise all the other areas are going to work. I promise you. So I said, okay, now I need to know what you think about that area before we get into the game. And then all of a sudden, most people go, holy crap. Even the most powerful people in that one area, because we all have them, they did not realize the thoughts they were telling themselves about their body, about their career, about should they be loved. And once they do, then we can make the shift. Because now I say, okay, that's what's going on in there. And guess what? You can tell a new story. You really can. But you have to be aware of them. I just need to get you that 51% of stories working in your favor, not good or bad, just serving you well. So I say, how do those stories serve you? Go, not so good. Okay, fine. Can we pick one of those stories? And sometimes there's like 100 things written about what they think, sometimes 10. Let's build on that one little thing about what you think. And then grow gradually, because you can't go from, okay, I'm a couch potato and I eat chips all day long to, I'm a triathlon. Okay, no. Or I spend 7 days a week waitressing. Nothing wrong with that. I was a waitress many, many years of my life, and I want to be a CEO. We got to make steps here. So we want to take action from that mindset. And here's the deal. And I want to make this very clear. Nobody in my field believes you're supposed to be joyful all the time, or what I call the love-based state. Yes, your national essence is peace, love, and joy. So as much as we can get there, your brain has to work less when it's there. But you got all these other things going on, fear-based emotions, guilt, anger, jealousy, you name it. So to be aware of it is so freeing. Then you start changing the story and you listen to it. You just stop. So when I work with people, I say, okay, let's start simple. As you're going about your day, maybe it's your health even, you start having scary thoughts about your health, or why you can never have that dream body you want because, you've tried so many times, or why those amazing bestsellers are for other people. Just listen to the thoughts. Go, okay, it's all right. I'm having that fearful thought or anger thought. Breathe through it for 60 seconds to 90 seconds. Just listen to it. And just say, okay, now, is that thought serving you well? If it is, milk it and keep going for it, right? If not, just go, all right, let it pass. And now what thought can you get to that will serve you well? And that's how I start. That's all I want them to do. Like, that's it. Take those little resets, do those little, thoughts in your brain serve you well. So we can start shifting gradually the stories they tell yourself, doing resets throughout the day, the brain. And when I work with clients or even my blogs or everything I do, I just wrote a book. It's called, a matter of fact, I like it more than no, I don't. My adult book is My 30-Day Reset, but I wrote a book for kids 8 to 12, Recess to Reset. And I'm using it now because I love it. But the reason is everything, whether I work with a client or they do it on their own, is for you to realize it doesn't take long. It doesn't have to be a big, hairy deal. It's just consistency of what do you do every single day to start your day and remind you of how you want to be. Even this journal book for kids, the first thing I talk to them about is your superpower. What's your superpower? And I go through everything as the superpower, but it's not what you think. It could be thoughtful, strong, unstoppable, generous, energetic, courageous, quiet, patient. Like, what are your superpowers? What can we tap into? And then I make them think about that, just like adults should.
Right.
And then the next thing is it could be a day, it could be a week, but 30 days. What's a word that you could focus in? Like, how do you want to be overall? And like, just give me a word. And they might say, energetic, powerful, strong. Okay, that's your overall word for the next day. But then when you wake up every morning, it may not be that way. So again, focus in on one word. How do you want to show up in the world? Not letting it bat you around, right?
Right.
You come down, you spend a minute to 3 minutes, not long, writing down in your journal, setting your game plan, your attention. It's not long, and it's something you reflect on. So I know I went from how can you help a client, and I took you down this journey, but I just want you to see that it's not just me coaching the client, it's also me knowing that they're ready to be there and there's ways to do it, and it doesn't take long. And that's what I show them, because a lot of times I have clients that are amazing spiritual leaders that hire me, and they constantly say to me, Karen, well, I know all this. I go, oh, I know you do, but then why'd you hire me? Do you know what I mean? Because many of it, they're
exactly.
like, doesn't matter. I'm here to remind you of all the noise, all the like some people overcomplicate. They've read this book, they've read that book, they've read this, they went to this course, and they're all good. But sometimes you got to just shut it all out and simplify and go back to basics. How do you wake up in the morning? What's your word? How do you want to show up in the world? How can you reflect on that every hour? Just that word, taking a minute to 3 minutes to say, this is what I want in the world. Remind yourself what I need. It doesn't take long. And then you can do other things. Does that make sense?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And, I didn't work with anybody initially when I started going through what I call my transformation 10 years ago.
Mhm.
I was just tired of everything that I was allowing to weigh me down. All the voices that were going on telling me, you did this wrong. If you would have done this, it would have been better. And not giving myself a chance to step back and say, what can I do right now? What's the one thing, not the 100
Awesome.
things.
Awesome.
And I find myself, my husband and my son tease me all the time that I'm OCD because I like to get things done. And I do. But I'm learning at this point, not everything has to get done. And not everything has to get done by me. Because there are some things that I can't do because it's something maybe you have to do, or something else has to happen before I can do it. And so I'm learning that it's much easier to get through life, not letting everything just hang over you. And like you talked about guilt. Okay.
Yeah. Big one.
Yeah, I grew up in a home where it was all about the guilt. And I'll never forget when my mother, um, right before she passed, I said to her, "Did you really like making us feel guilty?" And she said, "Oh, yes." She said, "That was the best part of being a mother." And I thought about it and it was like, if I would have asked her that 40 years ago, it would have been so much easier. Okay. But when she said it, it was like, now I really love, really, really love you. You weren't really picking on me, you know? It's just that's what being a mother was to her.
Yeah, yeah. And back then, that's the way they worked. That's the way they
Exactly.
rolled more.
Exactly.
Karen, I'm so appreciative of you being honest about your journey, because anytime you're honest about your journey, it empowers others.
Right.
And here's the thing, I know I'm going to coach you, but here I can't
It's
help
okay.
it.
I
That's
love
my
it.
brain is going here. God bless your son or your husband. I don't even know initials, whatever. It's just your unique, amazing brain. It's just the way it
Yeah.
works. I don't know all the initials. I always say, what initial are we going for? But when you decide, not because of anyone else, that you want to let go, surrender, that you don't have to do everything, right?
Right.
Then that's the thing that you, whatever anyone's belief system is, wants to ask for. Whether it's universe, whether it's a God, whether it's your inner voice. I know that whatever system I have in place to get me in my positive, powerful mindset, that it's all about me connecting to the universal energy of love, peace, and joy, which I truly believe is our pure essence that we talked about. Anything I do to attach to that, that's why I said I created systems around it, like getting up in the morning, a journal book that only takes 1 to 3 minutes. It's all about getting in that space to connect in. Because when I'm there, then I ask for what it is I want that day.
Sure.
Maybe I want to move with ease and flow because I had something difficult going on in my body. Like I have too many mountain biking accidents, or maybe I want to feel great when I walk out the door. So I want to eat and move to just feel amazing. Maybe I want that dream job, but whatever it is you're going after, I really believe the answers are there for us. You got to take action. It's taking action from that space. But whatever you do for you, whether it's meditating, walking, whatever it is, there's nothing more important that you connecting. Now, when you connect, the answers, if you're asking, guide me so that I can let go more, trust more, realize I don't have to do it all, right? It'll come. The guilt's going to take a while because that was wired in there. So we got to rewire things.
Right.
Like when it's that simple, but it's also, it doesn't just happen over some of those things. You got to change the way those thoughts, change the stories. Like you said, I'm enough. But I have to tell you a funny story right now. And I think your listeners and you will really appreciate it. I've been on this journey a really long time. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, owned health clubs. I was fortunate enough that I could train clients from every walk of life. I did professional sports teams, CEOs, CFOs, mom, dad, you name it. And before I even thought of writing books, because I'm not a writer, I didn't even think of it. I wanted to interview at least 100 people for a year that I felt exuded pure joy.
Okay.
And I thought, I didn't care what they did for a living. I want to know, is there a secret sauce to this? Because my mission was to spread pure joy, and I used fitness as my vehicle. And was there something these people had in common? So I bribed them, gave them free memberships, free trainings. And for a year, I spent 2 hours every single time talking to them. They filled out my dumb questionnaire, which they hated. And then I would just interview them for 2 hours. And this went on. And I'm like, I couldn't see the correlation because they were all so different. And every walk of life you want. And then I finally saw it at the end of the year what the one thing they had in common was. And it was they were not going to show up in the world without getting their head in that positive, powerful space. It didn't matter what they did. It didn't matter if it was a few minutes or 2 hours. They knew they were going to show up in the world and that they weren't just going to be battered around by it. Do you know what I mean? This is who they are, and they were choosing. And it was all over the game. I had people that baked muffins to get in that right headspace, people that ran for 2 hours. Some people just breathed for 5 minutes, played jazz music, worked out, danced, you name it. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to create something for people that don't have those routines, because most people don't.
Right.
And so I spent another few years meeting with the powers to be. Powers to be. I was lucky enough because, again, my health club was at 19th and Market, and it was surrounded by all these universities and great professors, positive psychology department, excellent. So I met with spiritual leaders and gurus and exercise physiologists and neuroscientists and neurologists and sports psychologists and positive psychologists. And they're all members of my gym. So we'd sit in my room and I wouldn't understand half of what they said. They'd argue, they'd fight. They were all saying the same thing. And I told them about this system. I wanted to create a journal, as a big journal, because I always believed that movement, words, and laughter was my way of impacting the world. So journaling, words, I wanted to create something to get people in this headspace. And I told them about how I interviewed all these people, and they said, okay, Weston, you're onto something. I created your action you're going to take, your motivation from giving it there, and how much energy you're going to put into it. Okay, you're onto something, you're onto something. So I made this journal. It's going to take you 5 minutes a day. That's it. And I gave it out to 100 people for the next year, people that I thought were highly motivated. I told them pick one area of their life. If you're great with your body, then pick your career. If you're great with your career, pick your relationships. If you need to work on your health, whatever. Well, after 1 year, it failed miserably. Maybe 1 or 2 people did it. I'm like, what? And we're talking it failed miserably after a year. I only needed them to do it for 30 to 60 days. I didn't even need them to do it for a year.
Right. Okay.
I was devastated. I was devastated. I'm like, what the freak? So I go back to my one head professor, Dr. Kendrick, head of exercise physiology and my mentor and counselor at Temple. It's where I got my master's. And I said to him, why? And he goes, well, of course it failed. I go, what do you mean? He goes, no one's going to spend 5 minutes if they don't already have this habit to improve their life. I go, what? Because no one's going to spend 5 minutes. I go, why didn't you tell me? He goes, you didn't ask. I go, I didn't ask. He goes, you didn't ask. And I feel like you need to find it out for yourself. I go, I just wasted a year. He goes, you didn't waste a year. Look what you found out. So then he helped me create something that would only take 1 minute to 3 minutes. Is that crazy? And then I went back. You know how many years it was for this? People think, oh God, it's a journal. And, it must have been quick to write. Yeah, 6 years later, because I wanted to make sure I had studies after studies, for it. And plus I lived my entire life like that. And it worked. And that's why I'm so wanting to empower so many people, not just, okay, how do you want to show up in the world and starting your day? But I know firsthand that it doesn't have to take long. Have something to write it down, see it. Minute to 3. Now, if you already have a system and you're a believer, you could be 40 minutes, 45. Do you see what I mean? But I was trying to get after the people that had systems and then fell off the way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it's interesting because, habits, they don't happen overnight. Okay. Mm-mm. It's a continuous thing that you do. And many of us, when we want to make that change, we have all these habits that we know probably aren't the right ones, but we hold on to them because they're comfortable.
That's right. Devil, man. Devil,
And, for the past 4 or 5 months, I've been saying to myself, you need to up your exercising. You need to change your eating habits. Doing all the wrong thing by giving myself this huge list. And then 3, 4 days ago, I said, whoa, I can't do it all at once. Can I do all those things? Yes, but I have to decide on the first one. And I had been exercising, and for whatever reason, the last month, I wasn't. And so I made that commitment. You know what? I'm going to go back to the exercising. I like it. And if I like it, I'll do it.
Absolutely.
And,
Correct.
you know, that whole other list, it's sitting on my desk. And eventually I might take on another change. But I knew that if I took on more than one, I would have exercised the first night. The next day, I may have eaten the right greens. The third day, I probably would have done nothing. But now I'm exercising every day again. And that brings me joy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And I'm so glad this is so good for your listeners to hear. It's so good. There's a little more to it for most people. So take it from me. Like I said, I've owned health clubs over 30 some years, and I know it works and I know it doesn't work. You need to take a step back. Maybe you have, Karen, and everyone has to take time to really think about the motivation, why you really want this, really, and really see it. And that's why I say think of your game plan. So even for the next 30 days, what's your goal? Like, why do you want to exercise? I want to feel healthy. I want to pick up my grandchildren. I want to feel better in my clothes, whatever the reasons are, right? You know, this is what's the goal? Can't be, I want to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, because let me tell you, that's why we have billion-dollar industries up and down. So what is the goal? What action are you willing to take? So let's just think about it. When you break it down, that simplifies it for you.
Right.
Well, that goal, oh, no. I'm not going to do 7 days a week. That's just ridiculous. But I say, set the goal up just slightly out of your reach, you think, because you need to see success. So let's say you tell yourself, all right, Sandy, I haven't been consistent. I help them make their game plan. I'm going to move 5 minutes a day. Now you might move 20 and you might move 30, but you haven't been consistent in years. So you put down, my action is to move 5 minutes a day. You know, that's it. My motivation, I want to feel good at every age. I want to feel healthy. I want to walk out the door, you know, with a smile on my face. It's got to be a little, that your motivation. I just got divorced and I want to, you know, hit the world. I mean, let's be honest with your motivation, you know, I want to have a better sex life, whatever. No one's looking at it. And then the energy level overall, you're going to give to it, because that's huge. And you have to be honest. Once you have that game plan and you look at it, and every day you see achievement, then after the first 30 days, you can build on it. And like I said, if you say, oh, wow, I said I was going to do but 5 minutes. I did it, but I did 20. I did great, because that's what happens. But if you go too high, then you set and you don't do it.
Right.
And then I always tell people it's okay. By the way, when I work with people and we do it for like 6 weeks. So we go through the first 30 days. I go through them and I say, you can't feel guilty if you didn't write it that day, if you didn't say it that day, if you didn't, it's not about that. It's about, okay, getting back up again, looking at it again, keep going back to it, keep going back to it. And even if you don't write it down, I say, can't you do it in the shower? You shower, right? You go to the bathroom, you go to the potty, just go over your game.
Yeah.
what's your and here's the thing, I make them create a power statement of what the game plan is. So here's your game plan. Here's your word, right? You don't have to rewrite it every day. It's just a minute. What's that power statement that's going to get you into wanting to reach your game plan? I change mine every month. Right now, I'm building a new business. So I want financial freedom in this business. So my power statement is, I am a powerful creator, tapped in and tuned in to my inner voice. And that's me. That's what's going to get me to reach my game plan. You know, and you have to, power statement could be, I move with ease and flow. I love the way I feel inside it. Like, what is going to, some people say, just bring it on. I'm amazing. And it's not airy fairy. It's not about, oh, that sounds so, new age. It's not about that. It's about reminding yourself of the actions you want to take from that positive, powerful mindset, which more likely you will stay with an exercise program that's right for you and build on it. I do dance resets. I do dance resets. I was a dance major, so I go on, and I haven't done it recently. People say, please start doing them. And I dance every hour for 1 minute just to because I need to move. A dance reset, get my head into it. It's so important. Movement. I open the door. Sometimes I go outside and dance on the porch. My neighbors laugh. But I tell people, and it's in my clothes. You don't have to, change. Like, put on clothes if you're working from home that you could take a walk outside,
Right.
Yeah. Just do anything. But that dance reset for me really clears my head. Doesn't have to be a lot. So even if you say, I don't know if I could do 5 minutes, move every hour for a minute.
Absolutely.
And make it joyful, and happy for you. So the same thing, go back now that you're in that high, which is you're moving, and set something and go, okay, I'm going to sign a contract, and this is what I'm going to do for the next 30 days. If I do more, that's okay. But now your body and your brain saw success.
Right. Absolutely. And, and that's when I decided to go back to exercising. My first thought was, well, when I stopped exercising, this is where I was. And I thought, I can't start there, because if I start there, that goal is going to be just overwhelming. So I set a goal of
You already did it.
Yep. 15 minutes a day. And, last night it was 25 minutes because I was just into it. In the past, I would say to myself, well, if I did 25 minutes last night, I have to do it tonight. And no, that's not true. I have to do my 15 minutes. That I can do. If I do more, that's wonderful.
You're already there, baby.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And to our listeners, there's always something we can do. Even though when we say to ourselves, there's nothing I can do. I'm in pain, or, my family will be laughing at me, or I have no room, or I'm too busy. I have found that even taking that 1 minute time out, and I do it a lot now when the voices of my husband and my son just overtake me, I'll say to them, I don't want to hear anymore. I'll let you know when, either leave the room or I leave the room. Now my husband teases me and he says, just take out your hearing aids and you won't hear anything. And he's probably right. I probably should do that. But, I want them to understand that I need this time.
Yeah.
Because if you understand that I need this time, then you're going to have a little bit more respect for my boundaries. And I have more respect for their boundaries as well.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's important for all of us to evolve. I don't believe in aging. I believe in evolving.
Ooh, I like evolve. I'll go with evolve.
Well, and if you stop and think about it, at one point, maybe there were certain, things you could do more easily than you can today. So as we evolve, we make those changes, and that's all right. 10 years ago, I would have told you it's not all right. I would probably have been sitting here crying and saying, there's nothing I can do to change my life. And the reality of it is we all can. And that's why when I read your background, it was like, oh my gosh, it's about just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say, you don't have to be a victim of your circumstance. You can choose that, but just know that. And there's always something, like we talked about, you can get to, into that right headspace, and it will tell you, you'll be guided on what that one thing is. But here's the deal. I'm going to tell you, well, I'm going to try to shorten this story, but recently, after I sold my soulmate gyms in 2019, and I went on, my pilgrimage, what am I going to do now? I went to an ashram. I went to, different leadership courses, and I wanted to see what my next, because
Sure.
I'm just getting started journey is. And I remember these two words at one of the workshops was, I wanted to find pure joy and freedom. Now, people would say, Sandy, you're so joyful, whatever. But I wanted it deep down inside, no matter what. And I remember the guide said to me, oh, you're going to get it, right? And this was now a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I came home. It was June. And I was struck with some kind of nerve problem or some nerves going up to my, who knew? I don't know what it was. That for the first time, somebody didn't even use their insurance card. I was like, what do you mean an insurance card, doctor? I don't go. I mean, I've never missed a day of work. Thank God. Was rushed to the hospital. Didn't know what's wrong. And test after test on my brain, on my neck, like they didn't know. And I just couldn't move. For at least 6 to 7 months, I was curled up in a ball on my sofa. Me, I couldn't work out. I couldn't shower alone. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do workshops. I couldn't teach. I couldn't do my keynotes. I couldn't type.
Wow.
The only thing I could do with the help of my assistant is talk on my side and do the podcast with just audio. And that was only every other week. Nobody knew. Not even I had to go through this alone. But maybe 1 or 2 friends knew because they came by to see me and they guided me through. The rest of the world didn't know. And they thought I was traveling, doing speaking engagements. That's what I do. Sandy's busy, off, whatever. And my mentor said to me, God bless Matt, I am so happy for you. I go, excuse me? And we still didn't know what was wrong with me. He goes, I'm so happy for you. The universe couldn't deliver it to you in any other way. You asked for pure joy and freedom. I go, Matt, I'm going to kill you. I mean, I was in such pain and agony. And imagine me not being able to move or motivate people.
Right.
I mean, it was completely like bizarre or type or write or whatever. And I said, and I didn't know what was going on with me, and I was like, well, I had a good run, I lived a happy life. Let's move on here, dear universe, God. So he's like, no, you wanted to feel pure joy. You really needed to get out a lot of stuff that I had stored in my body, emotions that I didn't know how to deal with from childhood stuff out. And it needed to come out. And for you to really have pure joy, you also have to know the other side of that and really let it go. And that's what happened. It was almost a year that they didn't know for sure what was wrong with me for about 6 to 7 months. Then they felt, okay, this is what it is, and that. And then finally, they realized it was the way the nerves were pressing and going up to my brain that it was causing that restriction. So thank God it wasn't anything life-threatening.
Sure.
And with different physical therapy and rehab, we're able to take that pressure off the neck. And it was unbelievable. I was just so happy to be walking. And when I walk in a grocery store now, I almost have tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm back to biking and lifting all the stuff I want. But I knew that I had to, after it was over, go through that to really understand what it is to feel pure joy and freedom, which I asked for, no matter what. How was I really going to show up in the world? It didn't matter how many likes I got, how many people listened to my podcast, how many books are sold, am I a great mom? Am I a great friend? Could I tap into that pure joy and freedom that I want just because I am here in this earth, in this body? That's it. Joy, love, and peace. If it's my essence and everybody else's essence, can I tap into that whenever I want? That's what we were talking about.
Yep.
And I could. And I found it near the end. Now, am I there all the time now? Hell no. Because
Right.
life goes back. But I catch myself quicker. And I go, whoa, why am I doing this? How am I doing it? Is that bringing me pure joy and freedom? And I constantly, especially with such a moving world and all that goes on in social media and how you can get caught up in it. And all the well-meaning people that say, Sandy, why are you trying that? Like, why are you putting yourself out there to go for that again? I go tap back in to peace, joy, and love, and how I want to show up in the world. And is it bringing me pure joy and freedom? Now, me and God had a talk. I told him it was a little severe. You don't want to go through that again.
I agree.
Like, I mean, come on. But he had to take me down. I mean, take down. I had to be like, I would have figured out a way. You know what I mean? Because I've fallen off my mountain bike a million times and I'm walking with my arm like this. I mean, I'm that kid that just would go uphill every way. There was no way I could hear the message unless I was, not that everybody needs it that way. That's just way. I'm not recommend that. It's just the way the message came for me.
Sure.
And how I realize what I want to show the world. Like, it's great when I have clients who say, oh, you know, my business just made $3 million and I just married this person and I lost all the weight. I go, okay, that's great. But now let's get back to you, you know,
Exactly.
and how do you feel in having that? I just had a young man the other day said, I didn't know making $3 million would make me so miserable. It was crazy. I felt he was crying. And I'm not saying making $3 million isn't great, but there was other things that.
Well, a lot of us, we believe that money is going to resolve our problems, and money can take care of some of those problems, but it doesn't resolve them. If you have those nasty tapes going on in your head all the time.
Yep. That you're not enough. Yeah.
Exactly. I've never had a lot of money, and I'm not sure what I would do with it. But
yes, you do.
No, I really don't. But what I do know is that I want to face each day not being afraid of being able to maintain myself. Okay.
Yeah. Your lifestyle and who you are.
And I talk to my sons about this all the time. Okay. It's like, as mom gets older, these are certain things that I love. These are certain things I need in my life. And as long as I can maintain them myself, I'm going to. When I get to the point maybe that I can't anymore, I'm hoping that you will assist me. And I'm not talking about with dollar signs. I'm talking about,
I got it.
My independence. And so I think when people look at your books, when they read your blogs, when they listen to your podcast, that energy that you bring out, first of all, we all aren't going to have the same energy level.
No, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everybody comes in with their own energy level.
But sometimes
calm.
Right.
But
great, sometimes we believe, well, if Sandy can do it, if she can be smiling, if she can be dancing around, then I should be. Well, you know what?
No, that's not your journey.
Right. Exactly.
Did you ever read? I'm sure you did the book. It's called The Alchemist. Did you ever read The Alchemist?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm reading. I never. Maybe I read it years ago, but I'm reading it again, and it's all talking about, the legacy you want to leave and your journey, and your journey could be like we talked about, a superpower. It could be peaceful, quiet, amazing listener. Not everyone is. God forbid they all had my energy. By the way, my son who's 18 and my husband here, they're completely opposite of me. They don't want to be on camera. Don't even take a picture of them. They're so ease and flow and calm, and they balance me out. They ground me, and thank God for them. We don't want another wingnut in the house. We just need one of them. But the peace of the world is your peace. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll give you an example. I was told the opposite. If you read in my book a little bit, I came from very humble beginnings, right? So people just assumed I had amazing parents and wealth in order to start these businesses at such a young age. And I did it. But here I am, thank God, I don't know, embracing life and finding everything to be grateful for and coming out pippy, skippy, joyful. Hey, how's it going? My name's Sandy. So nice to meet you. And just feel I dance in the aisles. This is just me. That's how I show up in life, or tune out the world, whatever you want to do to get through. And I was told over and over again, Sandy, stop it. Quiet down. Stop, shining so bright. You need to let others. Don't talk so loud. They're not going to take you seriously. If you're always so pippy skippy, you won't be taken serious as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur. You don't know how the real world works. Not everybody is as good as you think they are. The universe isn't working out for you, blah, 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 blah. So my personality was like, all these well-meaning people were saying, you'll never be taken seriously as an entrepreneur, businesswoman, because you're coming into the meeting. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? And I just thought, we'll see. I used to say to them, are you sure? Are you sure? So my unique gifts, I found the right business, the right venue. In spite of, even to this day, people say, oh my God, Sandy, don't ask that question. You don't look educated when you ask that question. I go, okay, now I'm going to raise both hands. I just tune it out. I mean, you're still telling me to this day, like at my age, that's, quiet down. Don't be so loud. Well, this is who I am. Do you see what I mean? Like, so
Exactly.
my unique gifts, my superpowers, when I tapped into them and how I want to show up in the world just opened doors for me. So if you're very shy and you like to be behind the scenes, or you're a tech person, those gifts are so needed, whatever they are. And don't try to be the other person. I can't be, even when I do speaking engagements, people say, oh, you can't come out dancing like that. This is a corporate resort. These are all businessmen in suits. You have to be more reserved. I go, okay, I will. Then once they hire me, I go out and I do the same thing. And within 15 seconds, they're all dancing too, because don't hire me. That's who I am. The other person can play the other role.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because still to this day, somebody in a group meeting goes, I can't believe you asked that question. You look so dumb. I'm like, hello, here I am. I didn't understand. I asked the question.
And in reality, in life today, no question should be considered dumb, because that's how we learn. Okay. And
I didn't know. Yeah.
Exactly. So you brought up something interesting about, your energy level. And back in the 90s, my husband was doing consulting work on the IT side, and just off cuff, he said to me, you should be a corporate trainer. You should be able to go in and teach software. And I said, why? He goes, because I write it. It was like, just because you write it. But we found this balance. He would write it, I would learn it, I would go in.
Ooh.
And back then I realized I had a superpower that I didn't know about. And that was, I wasn't just going to go in and be this techie person training. I went in basically, like you said, hi, I'm Karen and I'm dancing. And when somebody said, I don't want to touch the mouse, I'd go, oh, you're afraid of a little mouse or something. I made it comical.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, one of the CEOs was sitting in my class, had no idea. It was casual Friday. And afterwards he said to me, I've never enjoyed learning technology like I did today. He says that I'm going to remember everything I did. And I walked out afterwards and I thought, well, I didn't do anything special. And that played in my head for a very long time. When I started podcasting, I realized, you know what? I have held back most of my life, except when I was doing corporate training. I don't have to hold back. If people don't want to tune in and listen to me, that's okay. I
That's
will have,
exactly right. And you
I
have
will
to
have
yeah,
fun.
yep. You have
Exactly.
to do what's, you feels good to you and how you want to inspire your listeners. That's what matters. They'll come.
Absolutely.
The ones that want to listen, they'll come.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast and how people can find you.
So easy. By the way, I miss people so much. I mean, yes, we are out and about more in the Philadelphia area, but I never thought I would. But for the last couple of years, I am on social media everywhere. I have my daily joys that I go on for a minute or two on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Everything's under Sandy Joy Weston. And I do podcasts, Let's Keep It Real, and I host a live one. It's called Hey, I Got Something to Say. That's just for women on Instagram. So I try to do a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? Let's Keep It Real is a podcast for men and women around the world with their inspirational stories. And then the live, Hey, I Got Something to Say, because a lot of women said, I don't feel heard anymore,
Right.
And the live is fun because you never know what's coming out, And that's, by the way, that's every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that's the time it fit from around the world with all these women, but it's recorded and I put it out places. And if you go to my website, everything's under Sandy Joy Weston, you'll find all my podcasts, and I do coaching. I do individual
Right.
coaching and corporate coaching. And I do like 6-week and 12-week reset programs with people, which are a lot of fun. I love it. I have so much fun. I don't have time for a lot of clients, but the ones I take, hoochie mama, they're so cool. They're so every day when they send me something like Sandy, I get so excited, it's just so fun. So that's how you can find me, reach me.
Well,
My books, my books are on Amazon like everyone else. Train Your Head by Will Follow. I have books for kids. They'll find everything. I think I mentioned everything. I'm not, is there anything else I should mention, Karen?
well, I think you got it. And we'll definitely have all those links in the show notes. So for those of you
Cool.
listening, if you're saying, hey, I didn't catch it all, don't worry about it. It's there in print. This has just been joyful. I want to thank you. And the sun is actually trying to come out here today. So that means you'll probably have the sun tomorrow as it moves east. As all I could. But again, this has been wonderful. And I hope our listeners just got a little bit of inspiration to figure out, hey, is there something I want to change? And maybe you're sitting there saying, there's nothing I want to change. And it's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's all about you.
Hey, listen, it's your journey. And if you want to change something, you do, or maybe you don't even want to change it. You call, I just want to tweak it, or I want to keep growing. The thing I tell people, just keep remembering it. You're enough. You're enough. You can't get it done and you can't get it wrong. You're enough, man.
I love it. Thank you again. We'll have to do this again sometime soon.
My pleasure.
Great day. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.